What's good, sports fans? Are you ready to elevate your live entertainment experience? Well, let me introduce you to SeatGeek, an amazing platform that connects you to your favorite events while saving you money. With SeatGeek, you can easily find tickets for sports games, concerts, and so much more, all in one place. The interface is user-friendly, making it simple to browse and compare prices. And one of the best features is the interactive seating chart. You can see exactly where you'll be sitting and how much you'll be spending, ensuring you get the best value for your money. But here's the best part. Check this out. By using my promo code, ChalkItUpSports, you can enjoy a one-time $20 discount on your first SeatGeek order. That's right, $20 off your first SeatGeek order. Imagine catching that thrilling game or concert without breaking the bank. It's a win-win situation. Plus, you'll be a part of a community of fans who eat, sleep, and breathe live events just as much as you do. So what are you waiting for? Click the link in the description to download the SeatGeek app today. And don't forget to use my promo code ChalkItUpSports for a one-time $20 discount on your first SeatGeek order. Get excited. Now let's get back to the show. Yeah. What's good? This is your boy, Tone DeShields II. You guys are locked in on your dose of Chalk It Up Sports, where no matter if we win or if we lose, we just got to charge it to the game. Make sure you guys smash that like button. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. It means a lot to me. Means a lot to everybody, right? You know, the more you guys pour into this channel, the more discourse we are able to have regarding your Philadelphia Eagles, right? So make sure you guys lock in, smash that like button. Make sure you guys are subscribed. Continue to comment. Sometimes I read your comments. Sometimes I don't. I love looking at the live chat because a lot of you guys give me a ton of information to go off of. And also, it's really fun seeing a lot of you guys go back and forth, man. But I would like to assume that at the end of the day, all of us are in this for a common goal, and that's for the Philadelphia Eagles to win a Super Bowl, and they are on their way. And they have all the tools necessary to get it done. I'm pretty sure we all know that, we feel that, we believe that. Now, we're also going to have some people in this live chat who are fans of other teams, which is fine. You know, you're going to see divisional rivals here. That's fine, right? You know, sometimes divisional rivals, sometimes opposing teams, they are gluttons for punishment. Sometimes they want to put themselves in the crossfire just to say they've been there. And they don't really know what they're getting into until they actually step into the war zone. And best believe the Philadelphia Eagles are making sure every opponent leaves with battle scars. And they're always going to have a story to tell. Now, we got a lot to talk about today. The Philadelphia Eagles are flying high after their decisive, their dominant 27-13 point victory over the Pittsburgh Steelers. It was a really, really interesting game to watch because you saw immediately what the Philadelphia Eagles' goal was, right? Immediately you saw that they wanted to get the ball going in the air. They wanted to attack the seams. They wanted to attack that single high scheme that the Steelers like to run. The Steelers like to play a lot of man-to-man. And Jalen Hurts thrives in those situations. But you saw, from the Eagles' perspective that is, you saw that they really wanted to get their passing game going, and they did just that. And there was a point in the game where Jalen Hurts was perfect. I mean, there was a point where he was, 11 for 12, 2 touchdowns. I mean, over 100 yards. He was phenomenal. But ultimately, Jalen Hurts ended the game going 25 for 32, 290 pass yards, averaged 9.1 yards per attempt, 2 passing touchdowns, no interceptions. He did get sacked 3 times, but he also had a 125.3 passer rating. And A.J. Brown and DeVonta Smith got in on the action. Even Kenny Gainwell got in on the passing game. A.J. Brown ended the game with 11 targets, 8 catches, 110 yards, averaged 13.8 yards per reception, 1 receiving touchdown. His longest catch of the day was 21 yards. DeVonta Smith, 12 targets, 11 receptions, 109 receiving yards, 9.9 yard average per reception, 1 touchdown. And his longest catch of the day was for 22 yards. Then Kenny Gainwell, he affected the pass game, 3 targets, 3 catches, 40 receiving yards, averaged 13.3 yards per reception. No touchdown, but he was really crucial on 3rd and long situations, right? 2 of his biggest catches, 2 of his biggest moments came in crucial 3rd and long situations, right? And he really assisted very well in the red zone for the Philadelphia Eagles in the passing game. His longest catch of the day was for 16 yards. And then Glenn Cockatera only had 1 target and 1 catch, but it was a very crucial catch. It was the first throw Jalen Hurts made in that game. It was one of the most confident throws I've seen Jalen Hurts have this season. He hit Glenn Cockatera on a stick nod route, and Glenn Cockatera connected 22 yards down the field. And that was pretty exciting to see. But this game was really about Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, and DeVonta Smith with a sprinkle of the Kenny Gainwell sauce. And obviously Saquon Barkley did his thing in the running game. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. But the Philadelphia Eagles, their main priority in this game was to get the passing game going. And we all know coming off of last week, the Carolina Panthers game, A.J. Brown voicing his concerns about the passing game. Then you throw in BG's comments that added more fuel to the fire. I stand by this. I believe that BG's comments were misconstrued. I don't think BG articulated himself well in that situation. I don't know if the pain meds got to him a little bit. Who knows? But when I think about it in hindsight, I don't think BG was implying that they're no longer friends. I think BG was implying that before they were teammates, they were friends. And when you become teammates, when you're in business together with your friend, it can complicate the relationship. Expectations change, the dynamic changes. So that can be a tough thing to navigate when your best friends become your teammates and your business partners. It's not an easy dynamic. And I think that's what Brandon Graham was trying to articulate, and he didn't do that well. Nonetheless, there was a lot of pressure on the Philadelphia Eagles going into this game, right? Jalen Hurts didn't have his best passing performance in that Carolina Panthers game, but he didn't let that deter him. He thrived in the moment. He thrived in the chaos. He weathered the storm. They wrote the ship, settled the rough waters, and Jalen Hurts had a phenomenal game. Phenomenal game. Some will say his best passing performance of the season. I would likely agree with that. This was his best passing performance, bar none, this season. And this is a perfect time for Jalen Hurts to be hitting his stride, especially in the pass game. He said something in his post-game interview with Aaron Andrews, and he mentioned how just because we don't doesn't mean we can't, right? And here's how I add context to that. Obviously, after the 2-2 start, the bye week in week 5, they've been on a 10-game winning streak, right? And they really leaned all the way into their physical identity, right? The trenches, the offensive line, the run game, Saquon Barkley, Lane Johnson, Mekhi Becton, Cam Jurgens, Landon Dickerson, Jordan Mailata, Fred Johnson, Tyler Steen. They've really leaned into those guys, right? And they relied on their running game to really be their jab, right? The Eagles' running game became their jab, became their primary punch. And Jalen Hurts wasn't really asked to do as much as he was asked to do in those first 4 weeks, right? Now, to add context, the first 4 weeks was very much riddled with injuries. You didn't have A.J. Brown or DeVonta Smith for a couple games, right? You lost Dallas Goedert, I think, for a game, right? If I don't want to misspeak, but no, you had Dallas Goedert. You lost Lane Johnson, I think, for a game. You lost Mekhi Becton for a game. So you lost Cam Jurgens midway through a game. Like that 2-2 start was very wonky for the Philadelphia Eagles. But I digress. After the bye week, the Philadelphia Eagles really leaned into the running part of their identity, right? They leaned on that offensive line. They cut down on the turnovers. Jalen Hurts was significantly more efficient and effective, and that's how they were winning games. And not only were they winning games that way, they were dominating games that way. And because of the way Saquon Barkley was dominating the ball, dominating the games, a lot of people forgot that Jalen Hurts knew how to pass. As a matter of fact, a lot of people felt like they were hiding Jalen Hurts. I vehemently disagree with that notion. A lot of people believe they were trying to hide Jalen Hurts. Or a lot of people were trying to insinuate that they lost trust. They lost trust in Jalen Hurts. And again, I vehemently disagree with that. One of the things I mentioned coming out of that bye week is that if you want Jalen Hurts' turnovers to subside, or if you want Jalen Hurts' turnovers to disappear, you have to kind of go back to the basics a little bit. You got to lean on that running game, bring down his pass attempts, right? Get him, elevate that confidence again, get him some easy reads. You feel what I'm saying? Be more balanced, incorporate some play action, some RPO. I spoke about this. You want to see the best version of Jalen Hurts? Get a balanced attack. And the Eagles did just that. And then Saquon Barkley became so dominant that their running sort of overtook their passing. Nonetheless, it wasn't as if Jalen Hurts was a non-factor. It wasn't like Jalen Hurts was the weakest link. Jalen Hurts was having multiple touchdown games, right? He was having weeks consecutively throwing for over 200 yards. And then over the past few weeks, his passing numbers were kind of dipping a little bit. You know, he was kind of staying in that. He was throwing for under 200 yards, right? Still putting up touchdowns, still putting points on the board, still being effective on third down and in key situations throwing the ball. But the passing numbers wasn't exactly what people wanted it to look like. And again, my perspective was, hey, when you have a running back like Saquon Barkley, when you have a guy that's that dominant, that's really able to tote the rock like that, that's been a one-hitter quitter. You feel what I'm saying? He's been a legitimate knockout punch, Mike Tyson, Deontay Wilder level of a knockout punch. When you have a guy that's been generational, who's on pace and has the opportunity to break the all-time single-season rushing record held by Eric Dickerson, when you have a guy who's been that dominant, not only in the run game but in the passing game too, you got to feed that. You got to feed that. And people have tried to spin that as if the Eagles have lost trust in Jalen Hurts or he can't pass the ball or whatever narrative they want to perpetuate. They spun it. And the reality is, when you have a guy like Saquon Barkley behind his offensive line, where he's been electric, he's been a dynamo, he's been a phenom. He's easily been the best running back in football this year. When you have a guy that can break off 2 70-yard touchdown runs in a single game, like he did against the Rams, when you have a guy that can just easily take off and get you a lead, like he did in that Saints game, when you have a guy that's that dominant, and on top of that, he's doing all of this against stacked boxes too. They couldn't stop him. When you have a guy that good, you got to feed the beast. You got to. Shout out to my dad. You got to feed the beast. But then we get to the Panthers game, like I said, and people felt how they felt about it. And A.J. Brown said what he said. So you factor all that in, now it adds credence to what the media has been, or what the national media has been trying to stir up, right? You know, I watch these interviews every week, especially since Saquon's been all going off. They've been asking A.J. Brown, hey, how you feel about your targets? How do you feel about this? How you feel about that? They asked DeVonta Smith the same question. How you feel about your targets? How you feel about this? How you feel about that? You know what they say? Hey, that's Superman. You got to feed that. That's Superman. You know what I mean? We love what he's doing right now for us. We love it. We love it. And then A.J. Brown gets caught in a moment of weakness and he spills the beans about his frustrations with the incongruencies or the inconsistencies with the pass game, right? But I think more than anything, AJ Brown felt like this team was still playing below their potential, and he was right, especially in the passing game. So then we get to the Steelers game, and we got what we got. Jalen Hurts was phenomenal. Again, back to the original statement he said. Just because we don't or didn't doesn't mean we can't or couldn't. So, special shout out to Jalen Hurts, AJ Brown, DeVonta Smith, all those guys for putting out the fire and being very dominant against a very dominant Pittsburgh Steelers team. Prior to this game, the Steelers had won 7 of their last 8 games. They were on a roll. They're leading their division. They have a chance to lock it up next week if they beat the Ravens. The Pittsburgh Steelers have been dominating. They've been winning. Any which way they have to, they've been winning. Russell Wilson has been on a tear. Him and George Pickens have been remarkable. But, no George Pickens yesterday. They didn't have George Pickens in the game prior to that one, right? And when you really think about the way the Steelers offense has been run, it's kind of been feast or famine. They rely heavily on the deep ball. And when that's not working, Russell Wilson is forced to kind of be surgical and be patient and take what the defense gives him. And let's be honest, the Eagles defense didn't give him a whole lot. The Steelers generated 1 explosive play in that game yesterday. They had no explosive runs. They couldn't run the ball. They couldn't pass the ball efficiently. They couldn't sustain drives. It was just, they ran into a buzzsaw, like I've been telling people. The Steelers were running into a buzzsaw. They were going to run up against a highly motivated, a very angry Eagles football team. And this is the Eagles team that I love. The Eagles that are highly motivated, angry, want to prove a point. I love it. And I think the Philadelphia Eagles should be favorites to win the NFC and ultimately win the NFL championship, the Super Bowl. I think the Philadelphia Eagles should be favorites to win it all. Now, obviously, you still have the reigning champions in the Kansas City Chiefs, who are 13-1, I believe, right? That's a team that, regardless of how it looks, they've been winning games. But now Patrick Mahomes is dealing with some sort of a high ankle sprain. And it's not like he hasn't dealt with it before, but they're not as dominant as they've been. Their defense isn't as dominant, right? It looks like they're missing L'Jarius Sneed a little bit. But regardless, it looks like they're missing, what's his name? Willie Gay. It looks like they're missing some guys after they lost them in free agency. But regardless, right, a lot of people will still put the Chiefs number 1 because they have the best record in football and because they're the reigning champs and because they had Patrick Mahomes still. And I can understand that sentiment. But when you just think about it player for player, when you think about it from the perspective of just who's been more dominant, who's the most complete, the most balanced team in football, right? The Eagles check all those boxes. Top 10 quarterback, the best running back in the league, top 5 wide receiver, and he's not 5. He's not 5 and he's not 3. I'm telling you that right now. He's not 5 and he's not 3. That's just my opinion. You can argue with somebody else about it. DeVonta Smith, right? You have a top 5, a top 3 wide receiver tandem in DeVonta Smith and AJ Brown. You have a top 10 tight end, maybe top 12 when healthy, right? A top 12 tight end, top 10 when healthy for sure. You have the best offensive line in football. I stand on that. Argue with your mama. I'm not going to do it. You have the best defense in football, bar none. Bar none. First in yards allowed. Second in points allowed, if I'm not mistaken. So the way I see it, the Philadelphia Eagles are the best team in football, and the Philadelphia Eagles are getting better. They're getting better. That's the part that's phenomenal. They're a hard team to beat when they're playing like this. And when you really look at the play calling, and how the touches were distributed in that game. Saquon Barkley, 19 carries, 65 rushing yards, averaged 3.4 yards an attempt. Not his best game. His longest run of the day was 22 yards. He had some other long runs sprinkled in there as well. I think he had like a 15 or a 16-yard run, something like that. Like Saquon Barkley, and he also battled some sort of an injury, or he got nicked up in the game. Still came back in the second half. He was used, sporadically. Him and Kenny Gainwell were splitting carries. But Saquon Barkley had 19 carries in a run game, and he had 2 targets, 2 catches. And so he had 21 touches. And Jalen Hurts still threw the ball 32 times. Jalen Hurts had 15 rush attempts, 12 if you take away the 3 quarterback kneels. But just think about how they spread the ball around in this game. And Saquon Barkley still didn't really go off. Saquon Barkley still didn't really get in his bag. You feel what I'm saying? So when you think about it from that perspective, they can very much spread the ball around, be dominant in the passing game, be dominant in the run game, and everybody eat. They can very well still do that. Don't get it twisted. They had every intention of getting that running game involved. Yes, they started the game off passing, but they were committed to their run game too. Pittsburgh just defends the run very, very well. And the Eagles as a team still put up 131 rushing yards on 42 attempts. Now, that's only a 3-yard average per carry, but they were committed. And also, you got to factor in Jalen Hurts driving back for a designed pass. He scrambles, right? So when you put all that into context, this Eagles team, they have all the tools, all the players they need. They have the coaching staff they need, right? They dodged a couple bullets with injuries. Landon Dickerson is the one we're really keeping our eye on, right? Tyler Steen was okay. He has to get his penalties under control, but he was okay filling in. Mekhi Becton went down for a little bit, but he came back. Lane Johnson went down for a little bit, but he came back. A.J. Brown tweaked something towards the end of the game, but I think he'll be okay. Obviously, Saquon Barkley tweaked something. I think he'll be okay as well, right? The Eagles dodged some bullets. They dodged some bullets in the game, for sure. But when you're playing a team as physical as the Steelers, when you're playing a defense as good as the Steelers, it's going to be like that sometimes. So I'm really enthused. I'm really excited about where this team is going. I can't get over, and obviously this guy isn't a superstar on the team. He's a role player. I can't get over how effective Kenny Gainwell was. I was so proud. I was so happy to see Kenny Gainwell affect the game the way he did. And not only did he affect the game, but he was having to carry the water for Saquon a little bit. You feel what I'm saying? And again, Saquon still affected the game in his own way. It wasn't the way we're used to, but he still was a threat. He was somebody that the Steelers had to account for regardless, which made life way easier for A.J. Brown, DeVonta Smith, and even Grant Calcaterra and Kenny Gainwell, right? Jalen Hurts as well. He's somebody you have to account for. And Jalen Hurts has been phenomenal making his checks at the line, reading the defense's pre-snap. His pre-snap has gone to a whole new level. He was phenomenal against the blitz. Phenomenal. But a guy that I really want to give credit to in this game for being effective is Kenny Gainwell. Kenny Gainwell, Kenny G. Man, that brother came to play. He answered the call. He was running hard. He was running with cruel intentions. He was running with confidence. You can tell that he was he had that swagger in his step. You could tell that he was hanging around. You could tell he'd been hanging around Saquon. You can tell. See, this is what happens when you bring greatness in the building. Greatness demands greatness from others. Greatness demands greatness from others. You know the old adage, be mindful of the company you keep. You don't want to be guilty by association or guilty by association, guilty by assimilation, right? You know the old saying, you never want to be the smartest one in the room. Always remain teachable, right? And Kenny Gainwell is feeling the Saquon effect. Saquon's presence, Saquon's performance is rubbing off on Kenny Gainwell. You got to give so much credit to Jamal Singleton for coaching these guys up, helping Saquon take his game to another level. You got to give credit to Jeff Stoutland for designing these running concepts. You got to give credit to those guys. But Kenny Gainwell, man, watching him yesterday, watching him affect the game the way he did, and not just the run game, but the passing game as well, it made me feel so good. Kenny Gainwell, he didn't have a dominant game on the ground. He had 7 carries for 20 yards, averaged 2.9 yards an attempt. His longest run of the day was for 7 yards, but that was a crucial 7-yard run. But his real impact came in the passing game. 3 catches, 40 yards on 3 targets, averaged 13.3 yards of reception. His longest catch of the day was for 16 yards. Kenny Gainwell catches the ball out of the backfield, going left. He cuts right, spins left. Puts the guy in the spin cycle. Another catch. He catches the ball towards the left, runs upfield, splits 2 Pittsburgh defenders, running through contact, running hard. And he had another catch, I believe, where he caught the ball on an out route or whatever it may be towards the right, almost scored a touchdown. There were 2 situations where Kenny Gainwell almost scored a touchdown in the passing game. He was on a mission. So with Kenny Gainwell coming on the way he's coming on, running with confidence, catching the ball with confidence, right? With him coming on the way he's coming on, and you got Saquon back there, and A.J. Brown and DeVonta Smith and Jalen Hurts reminding people that he can pass the rock, and the offensive line doing what they're doing, and then the defense being as dominant as they've been, who's checking the Eagles? Tell me. Give me any team. Who is checking the Eagles? Who are you concerned about? Who do you fear? I say nobody. The Detroit Lions are crumbling before our very eyes. Not because they've been figured out, but because they're losing guys left and right. The injury bug has bitten them. They are snake bitten. They lost Aleem McNeil for the season. They lost David Montgomery for the season. They lost Aiden Hutchinson for the season. They're losing linebackers, safeties, D linemen. They lost, in my opinion, arguably their most important offensive player in David Montgomery. Some people may say it's Jahmyr Gibbs. But Jahmyr Gibbs isn't able to do what he does without David Montgomery softening up those defenses. And I'm sure they're going to get creative and try to figure things out. But not only are the Detroit Lions losing bodies, they're losing valuable bodies. They're losing integral bodies. They're losing their identity. You see, when injuries happen, you want to do everything possible to try to sustain your identity as much as you can. And the Lions have lost so many people, so many bodies, that it's going to become difficult for them to sustain their identity. It's going to become difficult for them to sustain how they play football or how they want to play football. I promise you, the Detroit Lions do not want to be in shootouts like that, like they were yesterday. They don't want to be in shootouts like that. So the Detroit Lions, do I fear them? No. Do I fear the Buffalo Bills? No. Yes, Josh Allen is having a phenomenal season. He is the MVP. He's going to win MVP. But they're a one-man show. Their defense is average, maybe below average. Josh Allen can't afford to just have an okay game. He can't afford to just have a good game. Josh Allen has to be phenomenal every single week if the Bills are going to go where they want to go. And that, my friend, is nowhere near as sustainable as what the Eagles have. Does Jalen Hurts have to be phenomenal every week? No. It would help, obviously. But because of the way this team is built, the way they play, the personnel surrounding the quarterback and on defense, Jalen Hurts doesn't have to be Superman every week. Whereas Josh Allen, he got to be the Justice League. You feel what I'm saying? He has to be, he's a one-man band man. So I don't fear the Buffalo Bills. I don't fear Green Bay. I don't trust their defense at all. At all. And I hear a lot of people say, you don't want to sleep on their young team, man. Oh, trust me, I'm not sleeping on them. And you should not sleep on them because they're young. They beat the Cowboys on the road last year in the playoffs. They pushed the 49ers to the brink. They could have been in that NFC Championship against the Lions. They could have been there. So that Detroit Lions, they have experience, but I don't trust their defense. And Jordan Love has been a turnover machine this season. So when I think about it from that perspective, once again, the Eagles have the edge. Who? I don't fear the Ravens at all. I don't fear the Chiefs at all. Who? This is what I'm trying to say to you guys. You should feel confident. You should want to talk your shit. You shouldn't allow anybody, any detractor, to blind you from what reality is. The Philadelphia Eagles. It's only a matter of time. It's only a matter of opportunity. We just got to go claim it. We just got to go claim it. It's very, very, very simple. We got everything we need. We just got to go claim it. S. Blunt, my OG with the $1.99 super chat. Thank you, my friend. He says, how would you compare this team to 2017 to 2022? Oh, my God, this team is better. This team is better. That 2017 team was a team of destiny. That was lightning in the bottle. That, like, they shouldn't, let's be honest. That 2017 team shouldn't have, that they should not have been able to go on that run. Nick Foles had a phenomenal playoff run. The defense was spectacular in the NFC Championship game, and they were really good in the Atlanta game, believe it or not. Right? The running game stepped up big time. You had guys making plays. I mean, that 2017 team was such an anomaly. When you think about it in hindsight, it's like, damn, how did we win that Super Bowl? Now, granted, that team was dominant pretty much all year with Carson Wentz, but then Carson Wentz goes down, and that's the kind of thing that can deflate your season. Carson Wentz was on his way to an MVP award. He goes down against the Rams. The Eagles still managed to lock up the number 1 seed early enough, but that wasn't smooth sailing. And somehow, some way, we managed to get it done. But when I look at this 2024 team, or let's look at the 2022 team now, right? 2022, offense was still very much productive, very dominant with A.J. Brown, DeVonta Smith. Miles Sanders was having a career year. Jalen Hurts was having a career year, right? Offensive line still was doing offensive line things, right? The defensive line was phenomenal, led the league in sacks, broke records. But I still felt like we had concerns on the back end. Yeah, Darius Slay and James Bradbury were catching interceptions, and CJ was making plays as well, Reed Blanks. But something like the linebacker position was okay. It was solid. It was solid. TJ Edwards was having a good year, but we knew they had limitations, especially in coverage. And we were heavily reliant on that pass rush. And when the pass rush wasn't able to get home, that defense got exposed. But here's the difference in 2024. right? You add in Saquon Barkley. That takes your offense to another level, bar none. Then you get to the defensive side. You're younger. You're more athletic. I think coaching is better with Vic Fangio. They've mastered the Vic Fangio scheme. Communication is better. Linebacker play is better. Secondary play is better. And you're still generating an effective pass rush. Still. You lost BG. You still generate an effective pass rush. You're still able to stop the run. That Steelers team loves to run the ball. They rely on it heavily. We shut that down. The Ravens love to run the ball. We were able to limit them in that. The Rams want to run the ball and take pressure off of Matthew Stafford and get that play action game going. We shut that down. So this Eagles defensive line is still essentially doing what they did in 2022. Maybe not as many sacks, but a year like that in 2022, as far as sacks goes, that's rare. It doesn't happen like that. It's rare. But this Eagles defensive line is still has one of the best pass rushers in the league, a top 10 pass rush in the league, easily. Probably a top 5 linebacker tandem in the league. Maybe top 3. Maybe the best, honestly. Nakobe Dean and Zach Bond have been the highest graded linebackers in football via PFF. And yes, I know PFF is not law, but it's a decent reference point to get an idea of what you're seeing. And then the secondary, phenomenal. Quinyon Mitchell, spectacular. Darius Slay getting it done, still at 33 years old. CJ Reed Blankenship, magnifique. Isaiah Rodgers coming in if Darius Slay goes down. I love it. You feel what I'm saying? So, and then special teams has been very solid. So regardless, though, I think when I think about it, man, this 2024 team is just better in every which way. We just got to go finish the job. Thank you for the super chat, as Blunt. Dana Scott with the super chat. Thank you, Dana. She says the national media were backbending. Oh, my God. Dana says the national media was backbending and pussy popping today. Stephen A is a joke. I take nothing he says seriously. Well, let's be honest about this. If you take Stephen A's football opinion seriously, then you're going wrong right then and there, right? You can't take Stephen A. Smith's football opinion with any. We got to take it with a grain of salt. He's there to entertain. He's there to entertain. And then Shannon Sharp is just, sometimes that Stephen A. effect rubs off on you. It is what it is, though. But I love this comment by Dana. I'm going to read it again because it's that funny. Dana says the national media were backbending and pussy popping today. Oh, Dana, that's good. That was worth the money. Thank you, Dana. I appreciate you. All right. So, yeah, man. This Eagles team, when you look at them, you got to be honest with yourself. They're a hard team to beat. Man. Something else I want to get into. I want to get into some advanced stats with you guys, if that's all right. I want to get into some advanced stats. So, let's see here. Where are we? I want to show you guys Jalen Hurts' pass chart in this game. Let's pull this up. Make sure you guys smash that like button. Make sure you guys are subscribed to Chalk It Up Sports, where no matter if we win or if we lose, we just got to charge it to the game. Get comfortable, you guys. Kick your feet up. The show only gets better. I appreciate you guys for locking in. I'm your humble host, Tone DeShields II. If you guys are new to the show, thank you for being here. Make sure you guys hit that like button and make sure you are subscribed. All right, so this is Jalen Hurts' pass chart in this game. So check this out. Look at that. Jalen went 25 for 32, 290 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns. Just phenomenal. Look at that. Spreading the ball around, attacking the middle of the field, throwing the ball down the field, right? Another thing the Philadelphia Eagles did, which was pretty cool, is that there were moments where they would put DeVonta Smith and A.J. Brown on the same side of the field. They would stack them. And that's a tough proposition for any defender. But look at that pass chart. Phenomenal. But, hey, they said Jalen can't read defenses. They say Jalen Hurts can't throw the ball. Some people like to just sum it up and say Jalen Hurts is ass. That's such a lazy take. It's a take where I say to myself, I expect more out of someone's football analysis to just say someone is ass, right? You don't win as many games as he's won by being ass. Sorry. At some point, you would get exposed. It just doesn't happen. I would much rather respect it if you say, look, I don't like how he plays the game. I don't like his style of play. I can respect that notion, but to be disingenuous and say someone is ass when they've done what they've done and he did what he did, to say he's ass is disingenuous. It's lazy, and I expect more out of people who say that. That's just my opinion. It's lazy. It's lazy. Now, you look at this and you say to yourself, damn, he was hitting them everywhere. The seam, outside the numbers, the middle of the field. I mean, Jalen Hurts was great. He was great in this game. Again, 25 for 32, 290 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns. Just remarkable. Just remarkable. Some other advanced stats I want to get into you guys with. I want to bring up DeVonta Smith's route chart. Check this out. DeVonta had a career game. DeVonta Smith recorded a career high 11 receptions, for 107 yards and a touchdown across 12 targets. Just look at this. He was all over the place. All over the place. He was phenomenal. He was phenomenal, man. DeVonta Smith is one of the best receivers in the league. He's a technician, one of the hardest guys to defend. And he's more physical than people want to give him credit for. He's way more physical than people want to give him credit for. Just saying. Now, let's bring up A.J. Brown's chart. A.J. Brown, man, geez, that boy different. 11 targets, 8 receptions, 110 yards, a touchdown, 63 yak yards. Yo, when A.J. Brown touched the ball, yo, I'm going to be honest with you. Whenever Jalen Hurts touches the ball, whenever A.J. Brown touches the ball, for some reason, I feel like he could take that shit to the crib every time. It really feels like that. That he can take it to the crib every single time. Every single time. Sidebar, did you guys see when Kenny did his spin, right? He didn't run out of bounds after he got the first down. He put his shoulder down and he got physical with the defender. I love that. Anyway, back to A.J. Brown. Every time he touches the ball, I feel like he's taking that shit to the crib. A.J. Brown runs angry. A.J. Brown runs like he's Yo. Shout out to my man Janky Rondo. AJ Brown really is a Decepticon. Shout out to the one of the funniest dudes on the internet right now, doing big things, streaming. Shout out to Janky Rondo. AJ Brown really is a Decepticon. The dude is just so physically imposing. The Big Ten Repa, this is funny. I like this. He says AJ is who Deebo thinks he is. Bro, Deebo is one of the worst route runners in football. Has one of the worst hands in football. Like, Deebo is so overrated. It's insane. Brandon Ayuk is a better receiver than him. Deebo Samuel can't run routes. He has butterfingers. He talks all this trash. And he's not even the best receiver on his team. Deebo was not even a top 15 receiver in football. I put that on everything. Deebo Samuel is not even a top 15 receiver in football. I know for a fact I can name 15 wide receivers who I think is better than him. Better route runner, better hands, better at the catch point. Now, after the catch, Deebo was phenomenal, which is why Deebo was a running back. Deebo's a running back. Kai's playing as a wide receiver. He finessed the league. Deebo was a running back. Kai's playing as a wide receiver. He finessed the league. He finessed the Niners. He's getting paid wide receiver money. He's getting paid wide receiver money, and he's a running back. Deebo is the highest paid running back in football. Shoot, Kenny Gainwell got better hands than Deebo Samuel. Saquon Barkley got better hands than Deebo Samuel. Like I said, I could find 15 wide receivers in football that I know for a fact can run better routes, got better hands, better at the catch point, better footwork. All of that. What separates Deebo is his yak or what he does after the catch. But by that logic, you might as well say here running back. Ace, Adam Thielen is a better wide receiver than Deebo Samuel. Adam Thielen. Think about, before you overreact, really think about it though. Really think about it. Adam Thielen is a better wide receiver than Deebo Samuel. He's a better route runner. He has better feet. He has better hands. He run like. Is Deebo better after the catch? Absolutely. But you got to catch the ball first. You got to get separation first. You got to run the route first before the ball comes your way. Adam Thielen is better than Deebo Samuel before the catch. After the catch, I give it to Deebo. After the catch. But before the catch and during the catch, Adam Thielen is better. Chris Godwin is better. Mike Evans is better. Who else? A.J. Brown is better. Justin Jefferson is better. Tyreek Hill is better. Amon-Ra St. Brown is better. DeVonta Smith is better. Calvin Ridley is better. Michael Pittman is better. Who else? I know I'm kind of going like I'm going like a Deebo rant, but fuck him. I don't like him like that. So it is what it is. It is what it is. Who else? CeeDee Lamb is better. Jamar Chase is better. Terry McLaurin is better. Cortland Sutton is better. Malik Neighbors is better. Nico Collins is better. Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp, better. Jalen Waddle is better. Marvin Harrison Jr. is better. I'm just saying. Sorry. Anyway, let's move on from Deebo. He took up too much time on my screen already. But A.J. Brown, man, phenomenal. All right. And check this out, man. Like, I love everything this Eagles team has been doing. Yeah, y'all going off the handle. Y'all flying off the handle, man. But I look at this Eagles team and I say, they're phenomenal, both sides of the ball. Let's talk a little bit about that defense, right? Nolan Smith is having a spectacular sophomore season. Spectacular sophomore season. I want to make sure I give my man his flowers here. I want to make sure I give him his flowers. Nolan Smith is second on the team in sacks. Nolan Smith, through 14 games, playing 427 snaps. He has 34 tackles, 24 stops, 5.5 sacks, 18 quarterback pressures. He's been great. He's been great. He's been great. And Nolan Smith had a lot of pressure coming into his second season. Remember, Nolan Smith, his first year, he didn't really get too much time on the field. He wasn't really able to really be the player that we expect him to be. But again, rookie year, you want to curb your expectations. So I wasn't upset about how his rookie year went. I really wasn't. If anything, I was upset with the coaching staff not getting him more time on the field. But it is what it is. He comes in this year, and I'll admit I had my concerns in the preseason. And it's so funny, in the preseason games, he had, 2 sacks, 2.5 sacks, something like that in the preseason. He was getting to the quarterback in the preseason. But I personally felt like he should have been dominating more, especially going up against second and third string guys. That was just my opinion at the time. But I'm seeing what he's been doing now, and man, he's been great. He's been great in run defense. He's been great in the pass rush. He's getting pass deflections. Like I said, on the season, 37 total tackles, 18 solo, 5.5 sacks, 7 tackles for loss, 2 pass deflections. He's been great. Josh Sweat, another guy who's been great this year, having a comeback season, right? Josh Sweat, comeback season. 35 total tackles, 24 solo, 8 sacks, 9 tackles for loss, 2 pass deflections. Having a great comeback season. Milton Williams, who's in a contract year. Both Josh Sweat and Milton Williams are on a contract year. But Milton Williams, 5 sacks, 6 TFLs, a pass deflection, a forced fumble, a fumble recovery. Jalen Carter, 4.5 sacks. Here's the thing about Jalen Carter. He's not getting all the sacks, but he is wrecking games. He is wrecking the game. Whatever Jalen Carter isn't able to get, guys like Milton Williams and Josh Sweat, Nolan Smith All those guys are able to clean it up. They're able to play mop-up duty because Jalen Carter is wrecking games the way he's wrecking them. On the season, Jalen Carter has 39 tackles, 23 solo, 4.5 sacks, 12 tackles for loss. Jalen Carter leads the Eagles in 12 tackles for loss. So me personally, if sacks are an A-level stat, I feel like tackles for loss are like an A- stat. Because in my opinion, a tackle for loss, matter of fact, I'm sorry, in my mind, in my world, a tackle for loss holds the same weight as a sack. Because at the end of the day, whether you're tackling the quarterback, tackling a wide receiver, or a tight end or a running back in the backfield, that's a negative play for the offense that you created. And now you're forcing them in a second and long situation or even a third and long situation. That's how the Eagles have been able to win first and second down throughout the season, in particular in that game against the Steelers. I hold tackles for loss on the same level as sacks. Need I explain my logic anymore? A tackle for loss is basically a sack on the running back, or a sack on the receiver, or a sack on the tight end, whoever has the ball in their hand. I put those in the same category. A tackle for loss holds the same weight in my book as a sack. And yes, sacks, Scotty, you're right. Sacks, typically you lose more yards because the quarterback is dropping back. Typically, the quarterback is dropping back about maybe 4 to 5 yards. So if you sack a quarterback at the top of his drop back, you can a quarterback can lose 6 or 7 yards easily, depending how deep the drop back is. Don't let it be a bootleg. You sack a quarterback off a bootleg, he may lose 8 yards, maybe 10 yards, depending. So again, right? I think tackles for loss and sacks are created equal. That's my mindset. But Jalen Carter, he may not lead the Eagles in sacks, but he is fourth in the team in sacks, but he leads the team in tackles for loss by a pretty large margin. He has 12. Let's really think about this, y'all. Let me bring it up on screen because I need y'all to feel me on this. I need y'all to see this because I can show you better than I can tell you. I can show you better than I can tell you. All right. These are the Eagles' numbers, right? These are the Eagles' defensive numbers. So, the sacks. Josh Sweat, 8 sacks. Nolan Smith, 5.5 sacks. Milton Williams, 5 sacks. Jalen Carter, 4.5. Brandon Graham, 3.5. Zach Bond, 3.5. Nakobe Dean, 3. Bryce Huff, 2.5. And guess what, you guys? We're going to get Bryce Huff back soon. We're going to get Bryce Huff back very soon. We forgot about him. He's going to be fresh. He's going to be motivated. He's going to be motivated. Think about this. We lost BG. We lost Bryce Huff. And this pass rush ain't missed a beat. This run defense ain't missed a beat. Think about that. Think about that. I know a lot of y'all forgot about Bryce Huff. Don't sleep on him. He's an asset. Has he had the season that we expected or wanted from him? No, he has not. And I'm not going to act like he has. But during that winning streak, Bryce Huff was starting to come on. He was starting to come on. So I'm not going to just disregard him. Did he have a great start to the season? Hell no. I'll be the first to admit it. He did not. Is he living up to the contract? Hell no. But he is an asset, and he will help the team. And he does have pass rush skills. And he will take some pressure off of guys like Josh Sweat, Nolan Smith. He will take some pressure off of them. So again, He may not be living up to the expectation, but he's going to be an asset week when he comes back. So Bryce Huff, 2.5 sacks. Jalen Hunt, 1.5 sacks, right? Shout out to Jalen Hunt, who's been coming in, playing good in run defense, taking advantage of opportunities. Jordan Davis got a sack. Cooper DeJean got a half a sack. Thomas Booker got a half a sack, right? Now let's get to the TFLs. Again, I believe TFLs hold the same weight as a sack. This is where this Eagles defensive line is showing how dominant they've been. Yeah, the Eagles as a whole, how many sacks they got as a team total? The Eagles as a team, they have 39 sacks on the season as a team. 39 sacks as a team, right? But they have 72 tackles for loss. Think about that. The Eagles have 39 sacks as a team, but they have 72 tackles for loss. This is the value. This is the dominance in this defensive line. Let's get into it. And this is why I put tackles for loss in the same category. Because the Eagles, basically, the Eagles have generated 72 negative plays for opposing offenses. 72 negative plays. Jalen Carter, 12 tackles for loss. Nakobe Dean, 9 tackles for loss. Nakobe Dean. Josh Sweat, 9 tackles for loss. Zach Bond, 9 tackles for loss. Nolan Smith Jr. with 7. Milton Williams was 6. Brandon Graham with 6. Cooper DeJean with 3. Bryce Huff with 3. C.J. Gardner-Johnson with 2. Jordan Davis with 2. Thomas Booker with 2. Darius Slay with 2. This team has generated 72 tackles for loss. That's dominance. That's dominance at the line of scrimmage. And they've improved. It shows that they've vastly improved their tackling. Speaking of tackles, since we're here talking about this stuff, look at the total tackles on the team. Look at this. Look at the tackles. Zach Bond and Nakobe Dean, your 2 starting linebackers, your linebacker duo, lead the team in total tackles, as they should. Zach Bond, 100, and Zach Bond has been a godsend. He's having one of the best linebacker seasons we've seen in Eagles history. I stand by that. I know I'm 29. I wasn't here for the gangrene days, right? I was too young. And I'm not saying he's better than Seth Joyner. Seth Joyner was 101. Seth Joyner was phenomenal. A game wrecker, right? I'm not saying that. But when you really look at Zach Bond and how he's been able to affect the game, not only in run defense, but also in coverage. Zach Bond, and then when you think about the expectation when you signed him and what he was known as before you brought him in. Zach Bond is having one of the best single season linebacker performances in Eagles history. In Eagles history. He's having one of the best linebacker performances we've ever seen. I've ever seen. Zach Bond, 134 total tackles, 85 solo. 85 solo tackles. Just let that sink in for a second. Make sure you guys smash that like button. You guys are tuned in to Chalk It Up Sports, where no matter if we win or if we lose, we just got to charge it to the game. I'm your humble host, Tone DeShields II. Especially if you're new to the show, make sure you guys are subscribed. Let that sink in for a second. 85 solo tackles. And we got 3 games left. He's going to hit 100. Nakobe Dean, 116 total tackles, 74 solo. 74 solo. Reed Blankenship, 70 total tackles, 46 solo. I mean, when you look at the disparity between Nakobe Dean's solo tackles and then you go to Reed Blankenship, it's like it's drastic. Zach Bond and Nakobe Dean, they are keeping their DBs clean. It's so funny. The defensive line is keeping the linebackers clean so they can get those tackles, especially in run defense. The linebackers are keeping the safeties and the corners clean from having to make tackles. This has been a compliment. This has been one of the most complimentary versions of defensive football that we've seen in Philadelphia. These guys are playing for each other. They're doing their jobs. They're communicating. This team has been phenomenal. This team has been phenomenal. I stand on that. And obviously, Quinyon Mitchell, the rookie, Cooper DeJean, they've been great as well. Let's look at the pass deflections, right? Quinyon Mitchell and Darius Slay are tied. They lead the team in pass deflections. Quinyon Mitchell got 10 pass deflections. Darius Slay got 10 pass deflections. C.J. Gardner-Johnson got 9. Cooper DeJean got 6. Reed Blankenship got 5. Avonte Maddox even got 5, believe it or not. Jalen Carter has 5. Nakobe Dean got 4. Zach Bond got 3. Nolan Smith got 2. Jordan Davis got 2. BG got 2. Isaiah Rodgers got 2. Josh Sweat got 2. But Quinyon Mitchell and Darius Slay have been phenomenal this season. And yes, Darius Slay has been in and out of the lineup with injuries over the past several weeks. He missed 2 games with injury. But Darius Slay, for a 33-year-old corner, he's been great. He's been great. Now, they don't have interceptions, and I wish Quinyon Mitchell gets one, but he's been great. And the word is that he's jumped Jared Verse in the race for Rookie of the Year, as far as the odds makers, according to DraftKings and FanDuel. But again, you guys, this Eagles team, both sides of the ball, all 3 phases. You got to play them honest. You got to play them honest. And you cannot, you cannot go into this game thinking that, oh, we're going to force Jalen Hurts to beat us with his arm. Okay, you can try. You can try. And you'll get what you got. And let's not forget, that Steelers defense is legitimate. That Steelers defense is real. That defensive, that front 7, right? They're secondary. They're young, but they're very talented. They're very good. That Steelers defense is top 5 in the league in many people's eyes. Obviously, they're top 10, but some people believe the Steelers have a top 5 defense. Some may argue they got a top 3 defense. Some may argue that. And the Eagles did what they did. They did what they wanted. They did what they wanted against that defense. Like I say, man, people are going to continue to doubt the Eagles. They're going to continue to doubt Jalen Hurts. They're going to continue to doubt Nick Sirianni. Just because we don't doesn't mean we can't. Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? The Philadelphia Eagles are taking things to another level. And it's going to be really fascinating to see how the rest of the league adjusts. It's going to be fascinating. But before we get out of here, I want to get to these final super chats. My man Anton Baroda with the $7.99. He says, Tone, I'm frankly disappointed by the amount of fans going into absolute meltdown last week. Crazy how little faith some have. It was embarrassing. Bro, they should be embarrassed. They should be embarrassed. And honestly, they should turn in a fucking card, if you ask me. They should really turn in their membership card, Anton. If I'm being really honest with you, brother. They need to turn in a fan card. It was embarrassing. They should be ashamed of themselves for acting the way they did last week. They should be ashamed. Now, it's one thing to react to what BG and, the whole AJ Brown thing. Okay, right? That was fair, right? Even I was off kilter because of that. But you guys know how I carry it. And I reminded you guys of who we were, who we are, and not to panic. And those of you who were panicking, those of you who were jumping ship per se, stay in the water. And by the way, we ain't giving out no lifeboats. We ain't giving out no life rafts. We ain't giving out no donuts. Thank you, Anton, for the super chat. And Scotty, the man T, with the super chat. Thank you, my friend. He says, what if Maddox pulled the Devondre Campbell here? For one, that's not Maddox's character. Maddox is a high character player, even though he may be limited, even though he may be washed. Avonte Maddox is a high character football player. High character. And he's been high character for the Philadelphia Eagles for a long time. He's been a good nickel corner for the Eagles for about 2 or 3 years, maybe. He battled injury a lot, and he hasn't really been the same. And, Cooper DeJean has taken that position to another level. So, Avonte Maddox, if he did pull a Devondre Campbell, it wouldn't matter. Just how Devondre Campbell doing what he did, it doesn't really matter in the end. But Avonte Maddox would never do something like that. He's a high character player. He's built too many relationships on this team to do that to them. This team drafted him, whereas though Devondre Campbell was a mercenary. He wasn't drafted by the Niners. So he feels like he owes them no allegiance. He's an idiot. He's an idiot, by the way. Thank you, Scotty, for the super chat. Thank you, Anton, for your super chat. Dana, thank you for your super chat. And S. Blunt, thank you for your super chat. Make sure you guys smash that like button. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. As a reminder, you guys, the show is not only available on YouTube, right? Of course, I love when you guys watch the show on YouTube, right? Especially if you missed the live show. I'm gonna give a shout out to all my people who can't catch the show live. But also you can catch the show on Apple Podcasts if you prefer to listen. And you can also catch it on Spotify as well. What we do here is that after every live stream, we upload the episode within the hour onto Spotify and Apple Podcast. So you guys can enjoy it at your leisure, whether you're on the road, in the gym, you're going for a run, whatever it is you're doing. Maybe you work in the kitchen with your hands. Maybe you're at work and you can't really watch videos, but you can listen to stuff, right? Maybe you're a security guard. And again, you can't really take your eyes off of what your eyes are on, but you can listen to stuff. We got you covered on Spotify, and we got you covered on Apple Podcasts. So make sure you guys lock in on that. And again, smash that like button, and make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. I've been your humble host, Tone DeShields II. And you guys have been locked in on an amazing dose, a victory dose, a Philadelphia Eagles dose of Chalk It Up Sports, where no matter if we win or if we lose, we just got to charge it to the game.